Hi. Unfortunately, we are some of those people who watched Transformers: Robots in Disguise 2015. It was forgettable in most places, and the writers need to work on the plots. If you look at the behaviors, you see a lot of whining, a lack of true growth, a lack of respect for elders, etc., etc. But we have a theory that explains everything. They're babies in adult bodies. Let us explain. When Optimus falls into the well of all sparks, he unleashes millions of sparks. Those sparks are baby Cybertronian souls. They shoot up and implant themselves into dead bodies, bringing them back to full health and strength. Okay, we forgot to mention all this beforehand, but like we had talked about, we mentioned that all the bodies that are lying all over Cybertron, and I think like it's all just one massive pile of Cybertronian bodies because of the fact that like Megatron collected all of the bodies and turned them into zombies at one point, brought them tried to bringing them to Earth, but then the space bridge blew up, so it ended up pushing all the bodies back to where they came, back through the portal. Maybe possibly disintegrating like half of them. And moving on. But there's a catch. They have the adult's intellect, but don't have their experience or maturity. This makes them act like giant babies who will give their parents a run for their money. Because they can talk and make up their own minds, everyone treats them like adults or teenagers, but they're not. Bumblebee is no exception. The cyber matter pool he fell into after he died not only brought him back to life, but also regressed his mind. He now acts like he did before he lost his voice box. This is even noticeable in the movie. Before he dies, he would have just held up the rotary buffer and promised to give it to Knockout if he talks. But in the movie, after he comes back to life, he goes the more immature thing and taunts him into giving up the info.
Okay, you got my attention. What do you want?
We're prisoners of war. We had rights. When are we going to have access to an oil bath?
Well, when are you gonna tell me where I can find your pals?
Oh, I told you before. Shockwave had dozens of secret labs hidden across Cybertron. Top secret.
A shame. Your finish is looking pretty drab.
I don't know where they are, I swear. But I have an idea where you might try looking.
He was clever in the show, but it was a mature cleverness, one won through trauma.
I should disappear into the night with this treasure. But using it to worm my way into Megatron's favor is too good an opportunity to pass up. Wouldn't you say, Prime? I mean, with results like this, I could earn Megatron's eternal trust.
You served aboard Megatron's warship. Surely you're familiar with this little treasure from his vault? The Immobilizer.
This goes into the show, and you can even see Bumblebee's maturity worsen. His mind regressed from a war-torn lieutenant to a cadet. This even goes for his fighting style. He was more combat-focused, but after his death dip, he lost most of that training, instead of opting for a pew-pew gun and a cool toy he almost never trains with.
Sideswipe, that's it! Remember? Just imagine the weapon you want your Decepticon hunter to become. Fix it. You built 2 additional Decepticon hunters based on the design of the first one we found. Why didn't you tell us what would happen when we combined them?
Combine them? I never considered that.
Then comes Optimus. Why does he seem to be just an old war-torn grandpa who's forgotten how to fight? That too can be blamed on his death and resurrection, next to bad writing. We suspect that his memory got corrupted during the spark explosion and death that resulted. It's bad writing on how the Primes went about it, but it is an interesting concept and has a possibility of going somewhere. But it didn't. His memory corruption cost him his leadership abilities and fighting skills, leading him to act like those around him, but more frail.
A well-reasoned plan, Sideswipe. But I prefer to end this pursuit as swiftly as possible. With our team at full strength upon initial confrontation with our foes.
One is weaker than the others.
Even if that is so, Optimus is too proud to admit to such a handicap.
Remember, once your core temperature drops into the blue zone, system failures aren't likely. They're imminent.
Optimus to base. Core temperature readings have reached the blue zone. Prepare to activate ground bridge. RC, this may not be the finish that we had planned. But if this is indeed the end, if we are to become one with the Allspark,
it's been an honor serving with you, Optimus Prime.
Even if that is so, Optimus is too proud to admit to such a handicap.
Sideswipe would likely still not have respect for Optimus even if he was written well due to his toddler brain.
I shall scan for our quarry. Remain here and prepare yourselves for battle, should there be one.
Did I call it? Optimus is already messing us up.
Ratchet, on the other hand, is just straight up bad writing. He's treated like an adult, but overuses his main joke.
Careful! I need that!
Then you've got the actual adults in the show, the Decepticons. When you watch them, most of the time they act like generic bad guys, but at least they act like adults. Then you get Steeljaw's pack, ones who you know are adults. This is due to the fact that they were imprisoned on the Alchemore before Cybertron was a lifeless husk. Thunderhoof makes this clear when he tries getting back to Cybertron to reclaim his turf. He also only knows how to make a prototype space bridge. That's a theory for another day. Steeljaw was captured during the war. You can tell because he doesn't want to go back. He wants a safe haven for Decepticons that only he can rule. Clampdown was captured only a few days after Thunderhoof. Underbite ate Nuon City, a place that didn't get rebuilt before Cybertron died. Half the criminals on the Alchemore were imprisoned during the war, a war that lasted over 3 centuries. That's how old they are. You may be asking, how do you know that they grow? Simple. In Rescue Bots Academy, their main characters are small, young, adapt to new forms faster, and some of them have been soldiers in the war. One has only recently broken away from their caretaker. Drift is Jetstorm and Jetstream's caretaker.
It was my most precious, my very first ball bearing.
That's mine!
In Prime, you can see that Megatron and Optimus aged during the war. Ratchet's design is made to appear old and Bumblebee's young. Cybertronians physically grow because they're living metal. They don't grow very fast, but they do grow. When they brought back all those dead bots, it was to rebuild Cybertron as quickly as possible. It would have been impossible to raise a planet of infants that needed constant attention.
I also kind of forgot to mention that the new Sparks have a super healing factor, whereas the older bots do not. You can tell because Grimlock had a whole episode where he was injured and he was trying to hide it, whereas Sideswipe can survive, who is in a Spark, getting literally impaled by Thunderhoof's antlers and walk it off. Like nothing happened. So Thunderhoof has made it very clear that his antlers are very sharp.
This was strategic. If all the babies can take care of themselves, it's easier to rebuild. It's like a queen ant pumping out full-grown workers instead of eggs. So now that you know that they're babies fighting adults, this show makes a whole lot more sense. Anyway, that's what we got. Bye! Bye!